This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
As they come toward the top of the stretch, California Chrome, social inclusion on the outside. Pablo Del Monte, right on Curlin, is closing on the far outside. California Chrome comes into the final furlong with a 2-length lead. Right on Curlin on the outside is trying to catch him. California Chrome reaching for the wire. Another 16th on the outside. Right on Curlin, can't get him. California Chrome has won the Preakness.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Cassano. On this morning's show, well, we'll get caught up on some of the more important news happening since we last got together. We'll review the 139th Preakness and welcome in winning trainer Art Sherman. Our other guest this morning, Mr. Jimmy Jerkens, who is preparing Wicked Strong, fourth as the second choice in the Kentucky Derby for the Belmont Stakes, and Mr. Charlie LoPresti, the trainer of two-time defending Horse of the Year Wise Dan. We will get an update on his condition. Going to the internal breaks, we're going to turn the clock back to the late 1970s and show you a trio of historic Belmonts of the past. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our May 24th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Good morning. Welcome to the show once again. Welcome to the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Hope you have a great holiday weekend. Feels a little strange. No Metropolitan Handicap this weekend. Well, we took a week off and apparently all heck broke loose. Two-time defending Horse of the Year Wise Dan underwent emergency colic surgery the day before the Preakness, and as I mentioned a moment ago, his trainer Charlie LoPresti will join us later in the show to not only update his condition, but tell us what the future for him might hold. And the Sheikhs of Dubai have decided to switch the main track at Meydan to dirt. The $1 billion-plus facility opened in 2010 with a Tapeta synthetic surface, although a dirt surface was used at the old Nad El Sheba since 1995. I think this is very good news for American trainers and American horses because I think their connections are likely to give more thought to traveling for Dubai World Cup Day, at least in the main track races. And Tom Durkin, who has been NYRA's track announcer since 1990, announced that he will be retiring on August 31st of this year, the penultimate day of racing at Saratoga. Tom stated that he felt, and I'm quoting here, 24 years here at NYRA was enough, and that 25 might have been too many, end quote. We will attempt to get Tom on with us at Saratoga. And Deher, the champion 2-year-old of 1993, has died in Turkey, where he had been standing since 2010. He swept the Saratoga Special, Sanford, and the Hopeful during his championship season. He died of a heart attack. And Bridgetown, a talented turf sprinter who won 7 stakes, 2 of them graded, has died at the age of 7 at Quest Royal Farm near Stillwater. And Strong Mandate, who dominated last year's Hopeful over a wet track, has been retired. His trainer, Wayne Lucas, said that the colt had developed a knee chip, which didn't necessarily preclude him from racing again. Strong Mandate never won again after the Hopeful. And Untappable, the current leader among 3-year-old fillies, will not run in the June 7th Acorn at Belmont as originally planned. Her trainer, Steve Asmussen, said he wants to give her more time between starts. Untappable was last seen pretty much dominating the Kentucky Oaks. The June 28th Mother Goose may be her next start. And finally, Shared Belief. Last year's champion 2-year-old male will make his first start since dominating last year's Hollywood Futurity on Monday in the 4th race at Golden Gate Fields. It is a sprint. It is an allowance sprint where he will face older horses. And, speaking personally, it's going to be great to see him come back for Jerry Hollendorfer. All right, last Saturday's Preakness Stakes. In a field of 10, let's take a look at the field with the closing odds. Number 1, Dynamic Impact. The winner of the Illinois Derby was 22-1. Number 2, General A-Rod, a troubled 11th in the Kentucky Derby, was 20-1. The big horse, number 3, California Chrome, the hero of the Kentucky Derby, the 1-2 betting favorite. Number 4, Ring Weekend, coming off a very disappointing second in the Calder Derby, was 30-1. Number 5, Bayern, taking blinkers off after being disqualified in the Derby trial, was 12. Number 6, the filly, Rhea Antonia, 6th in the Kentucky Oaks, was only 18-1. Number 7, Kid Cruz, who had defeated softer company in the Federico Tessio, was only 12-1. Number 8, Social Inclusion, a respectable 3rd in the Wood Memorial, was the 5-1 second choice. Number 9, the speedy Pablo Del Monte, who had weakened late for 3rd in the Bluegrass, was 34-1. And rounding out the field, number 10, Ride On Curlin, a troubled 7th in the Kentucky Derby, was the 10-1 third choice. For the call of the 139th Preakness, here's Larry Colmus.
Down now, ready for a start, all in line. They're off in the Preakness. And California Chrome had a great start. He comes out of the gate very quickly, and Pablo Del Monte's the fastest one. He's going to take the lead, and Victor Espinoza is getting California Chrome to the outside of him early. So Social Inclusion's not in front. There goes the filly Rhea Antonia. Social Inclusion is in 4th early on. General A-Rod is in 5th down toward the inside, then Dynamic Impact, Ring Weekend, Bayern and Rosie Napravnik outside of horses. Ride On Curlin is second last, and Kid Cruz trails. And the opening quarter mile was 23 and 2/5 seconds, and it is Pablo Del Monte the leader. Rhea Antonia and Calvin Burrell alongside in second. No excuses here for California Chrome. He's in a perfect spot. He's 3rd onto the backstretch outside of General A-Rod, and Social Inclusion is back running in 5th. And then comes Dynamic Impact, Bayern to the outside, and Ring Weekend along the rail. Ride On Curlin is about 9 lengths off the lead right now. Kid Cruz far off the pace of 46 and 4/2 mile for Pablo Del Monte, a long shot, who leads the Preakness field into the far turn. Rhea Antonia, the filly, is second, and California Chrome moves now to the outside. Now he takes second, and Social Inclusion goes with him. He's caught 3 wide. California Chrome right to the outside of Pablo Del Monte, and Social Inclusion runs up on the outside of California Chrome. And now the two of them are heads apart as they come toward the top of the stretch. California Chrome, Social Inclusion on the outside. Pablo Del Monte, Ride On Curlin is closing on the far outside. California Chrome comes into the final furlong with a 2-length lead. Ride On Curlin on the outside is trying to catch him. California Chrome reaching for the wire. Another 16th on the outside. Ride On Curlin can't get him. California Chrome has won the Preakness.
California Chrome fought off pressure from Social Inclusion from the outside, opened the lead turning for home, then held safe Ride On Curlin, who ran the race of his life by a pretty handy length and a half to capture the Preakness and set himself up to possibly make history 2 weeks down the line in the Belmont Stakes. Social Inclusion, who moved early to apply pressure to the winner, weakened in the lane for 3rd, while General A-Rod found substantial traffic trouble to the far turn while finishing a troubled and unlucky 4th, breaking from the less than ideal 3-post. And I say that because so much possible speed was drawn to his outside, California Chrome broke perfectly again, just like in the Derby. And I firmly believe that has been the key to his Triple Crown successes thus far. Victor Espinoza, who rode an outstanding race in the Derby, did a brilliant job in here, amid some early race scrambling for position, which resulted in some difficult moments for certain horses, but not for California Chrome, who settled in just off of and outside of early leaders Pablo Del Monte and the filly Rhea Antonia. Now, being outside of other speed horses is always important, but may be particularly important for California Chrome, as he has not had to eat much dirt during his current 6-race win streak. He has been fortunate to parlay his rateable, natural, tactical speed into very good trips. Only in the San Felipe was he inside of the other main speed, but he has not been caught in behind any other speed horse during his ascent to the top of the 3-year-old division. Following a quick opening half in 46.85, 3/4 in 11.06, Victor was forced to move California Chrome earlier than he would have liked, and that's because Social Inclusion's rider Luis Contreras decided to apply early pressure to the favorite from outside. California Chrome easily disposed of the leaders quickly, and after a solid challenge from the second choice was rejected, the Derby winner had to withstand one more danger, a stretch bid from third choice Ride on Curlin. You know, while the official margin of victory was a length and a half, I thought Espinoza had a little bit left in the tank while holding off Ride on Curlin. I also thought this was Ride on Curlin's finest career race by quite a wide margin. Is this son of two-time Horse of the Year Curlin just coming into his own, or was the overall quality of the rest of the field, aside from, of course, California Chrome, kind of mediocre? It was 6.5 lengths back from Ride on Curlin to the third-place finisher Social Inclusion, who had acted up on his way to the gate and also while standing in the gate. He obviously wasn't good enough to try to soften up California Chrome with that far turn run and still have something left. He was very lucky to save third, as General A-Rod was traveling nicely going to the far turn but got shuffled back. Running time 1:54.84 was solid. Of course, this is the same California Chrome that speed figure makers said ran so slowly in the Kentucky Derby. 6 in a row in front of a record crowd of better than 123,000. Think about this for a second. This is kind of interesting. Pimlico is, how do I phrase this, is not exactly the Taj Mahal. I mean, it isn't one of the finest, best-looking race courses in the country. Yet the Preakness drew 123,469. In 2 weeks, with a Triple Crown on the line, there's absolutely no realistic chance that New York could draw 123,000. Why is that? Is it because the infield is open in Maryland as well as Kentucky and it's not in New York? I mean, does it make that much of a significant difference? Some other thoughts on the Preakness. Art Sherman and Victor Espinoza. The 77-year-old Sherman, prior to his successes this year with California Chrome, pretty much unknown. Last year, Art ranked 289th nationally in Purses Won. And in 2012, he ranked 409th nationally. He won more purse money in this year's Derby and Preakness than he did in the last 2 years combined. And in 2 weeks, little known, or formerly little known, Art Sherman will have a good chance to become only 11th trainer in history to sweep the Triple Crown. He knows his horse. He's keeping California Chrome happy and as fresh as possible, all while his life is changing pretty dramatically. And Victor Espinoza, who ranked 49th nationally in purses won in 2012 and 24th last year, will be bidding to win the Triple Crown for the second time in the last 12 years, having tried with War Emblem in 2002. Now, while he is riding a horse whose rateable natural speed puts him into a race and usually keeps him out of trouble, Victor has been flawless, in my opinion, in both the Derby and the Preakness. Let's take a quick look at the complete order of finish for the Preakness Stakes. California Chrome winning by a length and a half over Ride on Curlin, Social Inclusion third, General A-Rod a troubled fourth, Ring Weekend fifth, and Pablo Del Monte faded to sixth, Dynamic Impact seventh, Kid Cruz was eighth, Bayern was ninth, and Ria Antonia was 10th and last. A word about Javier Castellano, who rode General A-Rod. Javier is obviously an outstanding rider. He won his first Eclipse Award last year. But his ride aboard General A-Rod wasn't exactly a thing of beauty. You know, in the past year, in races of national significance, Javier's put up 3 questionable rides. The premature move aboard Normandy Invasion in last year's Derby, where the colt finished 4th, and obviously should have been better than that. That wasn't very good. His poor and impatient ride on Bobby's Kitten in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and now the Preakness aboard General A-Rod. I mean, this is, if not the finest, certainly one of the finest riders in the country, but, you know, he's had some significant problems in major races over the last year. So in 2 weeks, California Chrome will bid to become only the 12th horse in history to sweep the Triple Crown, and the first since a firm did it back in 1978. And as I've been saying for decades, I believe it is far, far more important for the sport as a whole and for the New York Racing Association to have the potential of a Triple Crown winner rather than to get another one. The media coverage for the 3 weeks between the Preakness and the Belmont is like no other time for thoroughbred racing. Even mainstream media is interested, and NYRA's basically guaranteed twice the crowd on Belmont Day that they would get if there were no Triple Crown on the line. And you know, you can make a case that as every year goes by without a Triple Crown winner, you know, the anticipation gets that much greater. Let's take a look now at the possible field 2 weeks out from the Belmont Stakes. And California Chrome will be facing Commanding Curve, who was second in the Derby. Ride on Curlin, who was second in the Preakness, will be ridden by Johnny Velasquez. Social Inclusion, who was third in the Preakness, is 50-50 to run. His owner might decide, you notice I didn't say trainer, his owner might decide on either the Woody Stevens or facing his elders in the mile. Wicked Strong, who was fourth in the Derby, and Samrod, who was a noseback in fifth. Intense Holiday, who was 12th in the Derby. Kid Cruz, who was a non-threatening eighth in the Preakness. And the first 2 finishers from the Peter Pan, Tonalist, and Commissioner. Obviously, this can change. We are 2 weeks out. You know, not a lot of scary competition for California Chrome. And one colt who might have been the second choice in the Belmont will not run. That colt is Danza, the impressive, albeit surprising winner of the Arkansas Derby, and a troubled third in the Kentucky Derby, will pass the Belmont. His trainer, Todd Pletcher, said he was just not doing as well as he would like, so we will see Danza later in the summer. And we are up to our first break. When we return, Mr. Art Sherman will join us. As we go to the break, the year was 1977. The Belmont Stakes, number 5, Seattle Slew, was the 2-5 favorite versus 7 rivals. So we will take a look at the 77 Belmont to the break. Back with Art Sherman right after these messages.
And they're off. All the lead on the inside. Now Seattle Slew goes for the lead. He has the lead as they move through the stretch. Up on the outside, it's Sanhedrin along the inside. Run, Dusty, Run on the extreme outside. Spirit Level is moving up. They move for the first turn with Spirit Level on the extreme outside, and Seattle Slew along the rail. Then it's Run, Dusty, Run alongside Sanhedrin, followed by Mr. Red Wing, then Make Amends, Sir, and Iron Constitution. They're moving on the turn. Seattle Slew by a half length. Spirit Level is second by 2. Run, Dusty, Run is third by a half. Sanhedrin is fourth by 2.5. Then Mr. Red Wing is fifth by 3 lengths. Make Amends is alongside Sir, and the final horse is Iron Constitution. They've gone the first quarter of a mile, 24 and 3.5 and 48 and 2 with Seattle Slew now to receive a challenge on the outside. It's Seattle Slew on the inside. Run, Dusty, Run and Spirit Level have both moved up alongside. It's Seattle Slew holding on, however, and now he pulls away to a length again. Spirit Level is second ahead, and Run, Dusty, Run is third. A gap of 4 back, and it's Sanhedrin in fourth. Mr. Red Wing is fifth. Then it's Iron Constitution moving to sixth. Sir, and Make Amends, 3/4 of a mile in 1:14. They're moving on the turn. Still Seattle Slew, and he has it by 2. Run, Dusty, Run and Spirit Level are battling together, second and third. Beginning to close a bit, Sanhedrin is fourth and closer. Mr. Red Wing is fifth. Iron Constitution in a furious drive is driving along the rail. They're coming on the turn with Seattle Slew still the leader. Seattle Slew, 1 mile and 1:38 and 4/5 now leads by a half. Still on the outside now, Sanhedrin has taken over. Then it's Run, Dusty, Run, swinging to the extreme outside, Iron Constitution. In the stretch, here he comes, and he's opening it up again. It's Seattle Slew, and he's drawing clear of the field. Seattle Slew has 4 lengths on Run, Dusty, Run. It's Run, Dusty, Run in second, and Sanhedrin third. They're nearing the finish line. It's still Seattle Slew, and he's opened it out to 4.5. Then Run, Dusty, Run and Sanhedrin.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner! You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow!
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano, and Seattle Slew for Billy Turner and Jean Cruguet, wire to wire by 4 lengths over Run, Dusty, Run and Sanhedrin to become the 10th Triple Crown winner back in 1977. Our first guest this morning, oh my, how Art Sherman's life has changed. I just want to give you an idea how things have changed as far as Art working with and dealing with the media. When we first had him on several months ago, it was an absolute piece of cake. As Art said to us, whenever you want to have me, he said, I don't have a lot of media members beating down my door. My goodness, how that has changed. Art now has his second secretary making appointments for him. And yesterday, as we were taping this interview, Art was sitting on a podium at Los Alamitos Racetrack in Southern California with, according to him, every television station from the West Coast getting ready for a press conference. So it has been a whirlwind, to say the least, for our first guest this morning, the trainer of California Chrome, Mr. Art Sherman. Art, how does it feel to be just 1.5 miles from history?
Well, I'll tell you, it's quite a thrill. You know, it's been a wild ride. The Derby, the Preakness, and I can't tell you how it's felt. You know what I mean? No words can describe it. But it's a dream, you know what I mean? And we're living a dream right now, our barn and all our people involved.
Well, Art, you're in this position due to California Chrome's length-and-a-half victory in the Preakness. As our audience takes a look back at it, I will remind them California Chrome, number 3 in here. Art, talk about his performance last Saturday in Baltimore.
Well, I thought he showed a lot of courage. You know, he had to move a lot quicker than he did in any of his races. You know, he had to move at the half-a-mile pole, which he usually waits to the quarter pole because he didn't want to get intimidated by that social inclusion that was driving on the outside of him and take his path away. So Victor said he had to move a little bit quicker to keep his position. And after he shook him off, and then I felt really good because I knew that he would kick it in Durnan for home, which he did. And I was so happy that the race turned out the way it did.
Art, just like in the Kentucky Derby, California Chrome broke perfectly last Saturday. You must have breathed a sigh of relief when he got away from there cleanly.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's one of my pressure moves on him is the gait. You know, he does everything just so perfect, but sometimes he gets a little over anxious in the gait. He doesn't like try to tear up the gait. He just moves his head from side to side, and that is not really the best in the gate because you have to be in the V to break really sharp, and I've been lucky the last 2 times to get the V, and it's been gone. You see how good he breaks then.
And Art, just like in the Derby, Victor Espinoza did a terrific job for you here in the Preakness.
Oh, he did. He just knows that horse. He rides it to perfection. He knows to get him to the outside in the clear. You know, just give him a place to go. You know, you don't want to get intimidated, you know.
Art, how concerned were you heading into the Preakness about having to run him back in just 2 weeks?
I'm very concerned. That's not my style to do that. I know what it takes for a horse to recover after he raced. It's pushing the envelope pretty close, you know, when you have to run him back in 2 weeks. It is a crazy thing that 5 weeks, 3 races, you know, I never do that. I don't even run a cheap horse that way. I just do that.
Art, how did California Chrome come out of the Preakness? How is he holding his weight?
Absolutely wonderful. I'm very concerned about that. He's already galloped and put away, and the track's been off over there in New York, and I'm very pleased the way he's training. He seems alert and doing good right now. It's remarkable after all the races that he had to run recently.
Well, we've got a little piece of video of him galloping at Belmont Park earlier in the week. How's he acclimated, Art? How's he settled in and acclimated at Belmont?
He seems to love New York. You know, he's got his own grazing place outside the barn, and he goes out there in the afternoon and grazes and relaxes. He seems like he fit right in with everybody over there. You know what I mean? He's enjoying the run that he's had, you know.
What will your training schedule be here in the final 2 weeks leading up to the Belmont?
Well, he's going to blow out on Saturday, the week before. Victor's flying in to work him. He's going to go just a half a mile. Just to maintain its work, probably between 48 and 49 would be perfect for me. And that's it. You know, I want to keep him fresh and happy. I know a mile and a half is different, but I have no qualms about him going that far myself.
The nasal strip, Art, how pleased are you that he'll be able to use the nasal strip?
Well, I just think that, you know, it's very beneficial for him. He's been, you know, on a 5-6 streak winning, you know, with the nasal strip. I couldn't understand him not letting me use it because of there's no ruling against that. The harness horses do it. And, you know, I just, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it was a ruling, what we call a house ruling, you know what I mean? There's nothing in the books about it, but we got to change for everybody that wants to use a nasal strip can do that now. So I feel very good about it.
Would you have come to New York and run in the Belmont if authorities said you couldn't use the nasal strip?
I'm not completely, you know, I you know, that's putting a lot of pressure on everybody, but I hate to think that I wouldn't. I don't really think it moves him up to the point of being a super horse, but I just don't want to change anything. You know, every state lets you use them, and I just couldn't understand the reasoning about New York not letting me do that. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, you know.
Art, in 2 weeks, you and California Chrome will be looking to make history. Only 11 horses in history have been able to sweep the Triple Crown, and only 10 trainers in history have been able to accomplish the feat. I mean, you've got a chance to join legends like Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons and Ben Jones and Max Hirsch and Lucien Lauren and Laz Barrera. Art, if I had told you that at the beginning of this year, what would you have thought?
Well, I would have said, "Oh, you're kidding me." You know, if I had known the first of the year that I'd be where I am right now, going for the Triple Crown, you know, it's an unbelievable journey. You know what I mean? It's been so exciting for me. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, all the years I put in and be in this position and having all my friends calling me all the time, congratulating me from all the years that I rode and all the years I trained. You know, I met a lot of nice people all over the country, and the support has been overwhelming.
Art, what would it mean to you to join that select group, you and California Chrome, making history?
Well, I'll tell you, it's just a dream come true for me. You know, even anybody that says that they wouldn't be elated of winning the races that he already won. The Kentucky Derby was enough. The Santa Anita Derby for me was that was my first $1 million race. Now we've won, you know, 3 in a row that are over $1 million. So it's it's been mind-boggling for me, I'll be honest with you.
Well, Art, we want to offer all congratulations on the victories in the Derby and the Preakness, and we want to wish you an uneventful 2 weeks leading up to the Belmont Stakes, and all the best in the Test of the Champion.
Okay, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Art Sherman, who in 2 weeks, along with California Chrome, will be bidding to make history in the Belmont Stakes. An awful lot of history on the line in 2 weeks. My thanks to Art Sherman for having joined us, and we are up to our next break. When we return, the trainer of Wicked Strong, Mr. Jimmy Jerkens. As we go to this break, the year was 1978. Arguably one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the sport, and arguably one of the greatest races between 3-year-olds in history in the 78 Belmont, affirmed in Alydar. So we'll take a look at the 78 Belmont to the break. Back with Jimmy Jerkens right after these messages.
And they're off. That's Affirm going out for the lead. Then Judge Advocate Alydar is away well on the inside. Then Noontime Spender and Darby Creek Road. They move for the first turn. Affirmed has the lead by a half length. Judge Advocate on the outside in second by a half length. Along the rail, it's Alydar in third, followed by Noontime Spender and Darby Creek Road. They move into the turn, and Affirmed going along easily on the hand ride, 3/4 of a length. Judge Advocate tucks into second by a head, but Alydar won't settle for that and moves alongside. And it is Alydar who's going up now to challenge that pace. Then it's a gap of 3 lengths back to Noontime Spender and finally Darby Creek Road. They went the first quarter slow, 25 seconds. They move to the backstretch, Affirmed managing the lead by 1 length. Alydar is a very close second by 3/4. Then Judge Advocate third by a length and a half, and Noontime Spender in fourth. Darby Creek Road is 6 lengths off the pace. 50 seconds for a half mile. Now we've got a speed duel beginning to develop. On the inside, Affirmed. On the outside, Alydar. And those two are letting out all stops. They're going on out together. Affirmed along the inside. Alydar on the outside. Heads apart as they move down down the back stretch. Then they've opened 6 lengths on Noontime Spender and Judge Advocate, and the trailer is still Darby Creek Road. 3/4, however, went in 1:14. The pace is still slow. They're moving into the turn. Affirmed holding ahead in front, and Alidar on the outside is challenging again. It's Affirmed by ahead on the turn. Alidar is second by 4.5. Along the inside, Judge Advocate, Noontime Spender, and Darby Creek Road now beginning to pick up the pace. 3/4 went in 14, a mile in 37 and 2. The pace is increasing as they come to the head of the stretch. It is still Affirmed as they come to the quarter pole. He's holding on to a head lead. Alidar is outside of him and challenging that lead. The two are heads apart, and Alidar's got a lead. Alidar put ahead in front, right in the middle of the stretch. It's Alidar and Affirmed battling back along the inside. We'll test these two to the wire. Affirmed under a left-hand whip. Alidar on the outside driving. Affirmed and Alidar heads apart. Affirmed's got a nose in front as they come onto the wire.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
California Chrome has won the Preakness! And that elusive prize, the Triple Crown, awaits California Chrome in the Belmont Stakes.
The dream continues. The Triple Crown dream is still alive.
And the best place to be when it happens is the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. You can also be part of the action by visiting one of our Easy Bet or branch locations or bet online at capitalotbbet.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano, and Affirmed for Laz Barrera and Steve Cawthon. First time Cawthon ever hit Affirmed left-handed was in the Belmont Stakes by a desperate head over Alidar to become the 11th and last Triple Crown winner. Our next guest in 2 weeks will attempt to spoil California Chrome's bid to become a Triple Crown winner when he sends out Wicked Strong in the Belmont Stakes. Joining us live via telephone, Mr. Jimmy Jerkens. Jimmy, Mark Asano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
Nice to have you as always. First, Jimmy, before we go back and look at the Derby, how was your Derby experience? What was it like for you?
Well, it was nerve-wracking knowing we had a good shot, and a lot of stuff has to go right during Derby week when you're there. But the horse put me at ease because he handled everything really good, and I thought he went into the race in great shape. And wish we had a little bit better racing luck. But I was proud of his performance, and the whole thing was something I'll never forget. That's for sure.
That's wonderful. Well, I want to take you and the audience back to the Derby. For our audience, Wicked Strong, number 20, breaking from the extreme outside post. Jimmy, talk about the trip. Talk about his effort in here.
Well, the only thing he did wrong Friday, they got a little bad in the gate right at the end there, and he started kicking at the gate. He wasn't standing as square as I would have liked, and that's why he kind of broke in a tangle. If he didn't, I think he could have been he might have been in a little better position to tuck in, be a little closer to the pace and tuck in a little better than what happened. It ended up going by the stands in a big ball. The pace didn't really, they didn't really string out like they figured to. Well, looking at it on paper, it ended up being much wider than we would have liked, that's for sure.
Jimmy, Hall of Fame jockey Edgar Prado had texted you after the post position draw saying that the post was perfect for Wicked Strong. I'm thinking Edgar was just trying to make you feel good because that post was anything but perfect, wasn't it?
Well, he was thinking because he had ridden him before, and he is pretty antsy, although as hard as we try to do a lot of schooling with him, he tends to get antsy, very antsy in the gate. And he thought that was, I think the reason he said that was because he wouldn't be in the gate long, and that was the reason why he thought it was good for him. Plus, he figured like everybody else, the speed figured to really take off ahead, and he would be able to get a tuck-in kind of like what I'll Have Another did when he broke from post 19. It just didn't work out that way.
Jimmy, I don't remember if it was you or your rider, Rajiv Mehra, who after the race commented that Wicked Strong put in a steady run throughout, but didn't ever show really a strong kick. Comment on that.
Yeah, he said there was a couple of spots in the last 3/8 of a mile where he thought if he really accelerated, he could have got out of some of the trouble he eventually got into. And I don't know, maybe he wasn't handling the track, maybe he wasn't pushing off it quite as good as he was back here. He ended up hitting his pasterns pretty bad in the race, which he never did before. I don't know. That could be not getting good traction, or he had such a rough trip down the stretch. It could have been that too. But that was pretty much. We weren't really leaning towards running in the Preakness, but after that happened, we kind of figured we better see if there was something behind him hitting his passes as bad as he did. So that's why we stayed out of the Preakness. But he's done everything great since then. So we'll see.
So he came out of the Derby well. How's he been training?
He's been training real good. We've only given him one work. Last week he went a little faster than I intended, but that's the way they'll do here in New York when the tracks get bouncy and the better horses, they'll work fast. They fool the riders because they're just good horses. And we're planning on giving him kind of a work tomorrow or Monday. I'm leaning towards tomorrow, but I might wait another day and breeze him. We'll give him a kind of a longish work, probably a mile around, looking for like a 142 mile, something like that.
Jimmy, we talked about kind of being one-paced in the Kentucky Derby, which isn't an ideal running style for that race, but that can be an awfully good running style for grinding them down, going 1.5 miles in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it does, but still your horse has to have good energy, and everybody thinks because 1.5 miles, you don't want to overdo it in the morning and get a horse where you still want a horse to feel, you don't want to train him so hard or gallop him so long to where he just has no energy. Horses still have to be ready to pounce almost like any other race, even though it is 1.5 miles. They got to have that, they got to have some freshness to them also. It's a fine line, and, it's our job to see that we can get as close to that as we can.
Well, you've gotten to watch California Chrome firsthand win the Derby. You watched him win the Belmont. What are your thoughts on him, first of all?
Well, he's awful good. There's no question. I marvel at how, he looks like the way he acts in the gate, all edgy and that he's going to be hard to handle. Once the gate opens up, you can rate him with your pinky.
Yeah.
He has terrific, natural speed, and Jock looks like he can place him anywhere he wants, and that's a tremendous luxury to have on a racehorse. That's for sure.
So how do you beat him in 2 weeks in the Belmont?
I just gotta hope he has a bad day and the 1.5 miles isn't quite up his alley, and I don't know if 1.5 miles is really up anybody's alley anymore. But our horse acts like he has the breeding and the stamina. What he showed so far acts like he's got good wind, and when we kind of train him like that anyway, and we're just hoping that makes a difference.
Well, Jimmy, congratulations. I mean, that was a very respectable fourth in the Derby from a brutally difficult post position. So congratulations on that effort. Best of luck. We wish you an uneventful 2 weeks leading up to the Belmont, and we wish you all the best in 2 weeks in the Test of the Champion.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy Jerkens, ladies and gentlemen, the trainer of Wicked Strong, and we are up to our final break. When we return, Mr. Charlie LoPresti will join us. As we go to this break, the 1979 Belmont. Spectacular bid number 5 was the 3-10 betting favorite. And personally, I didn't think they had any realistic chance to beat them. So we will take a look at the 79 Belmont to the break. Back with Charlie LoPresti right after these messages.
And they're off. King Celebrity on the outside is Gallant Best. Gallant Best takes the lead now by a neck on the inside. Again, a Spectacular Bid. Then Golden Act. Farther out is Coastal and a Mystic Era. Past the stands for the first time now. It's Gallant Best leading the way by 2. Spectacular Bid is second by a length. On the outside is Coastal in third. Golden Act Racing fourth. General Assembly in fifth by 2. Along the inside is King Celebrity, followed by Screen King and Mystic Era around the far turn. Gallant Best has the lead by 4. It's Spectacular Bid in second by a length. Then General Assembly is third by a half length. On the outside, Coastal in fourth by a length and a half. Golden Act in fifth by 4. Then King Celebrity is sixth by 2. Screen King in seventh, and Mystic Era is eighth. The first quarter in 23 and 2. They are really blazing away onto the backstretch now, and Gallant Best has the lead, but by only a neck. Moving up on the outside now is Spectacular Bid, and Spectacular Bid on the outside puts ahead in front. Gallant Best on the rail back into second now by 3. Spectacular Bid draws clear now by a full length. Gallant Best on the rail in second by 4. General Assembly is third by 3. Then Coastal in fourth by a length and a half. Golden Act on the outside in fifth by 4. King Celebrity in fifth. On the outside is Screen King, followed by Mystic Era. Down the backstretch, the half in 47 and 3, 3/4 in 1:11 and 1. They continue to set a torrid pace. It is Spectacular Bid in front by 3. Gallant Best on the outside, but there goes General Assembly on the inside. General Assembly is now second by a half length. Gallant Best dropping back in second by a length and a half. Coastal moving up now in third. Golden Act also gaining ground around the far turn. Spectacular Bid has the lead by 2. General Assembly is second by a length. Gallant Best still in third by a neck. Golden Act on the outside in fourth. Coastal on the rail. There goes Screen King also moving up around the far turn. It is Spectacular Bid in command by 3. General Assembly is second by a length. Golden Act on the outside moving up in third. Coastal gains ground on the rail at the top of the stretch. It is Spectacular Bid. He has the lead by 3. Coastal on the inside is moving up toward leader now and down the stretch. Spectacular Bid on the outside. It is Coastal on the inside. Those two now vying for the lead, and Coastal puts ahead in front. Spectacular Bid back into second. Golden Act is third, approaching the 16th pole. It is an upset now. Coastal has the lead by 3. Spectacular Bid on the inside, Coastal on the outside. It is Coastal in front.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Behold the unparalleled excitement of watching your very first racehorse win. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Behold the unparalleled excitement of watching your racehorse win. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano, and Coastal, a supplemental entry for David Whiteley and Ruben Hernandez, wins the 79 Belmont by 3 1/4 over Golden Act, with Spectacular Bid third. One of the most shocking losses of my lifetime. And since then, I have always said, if Spectacular Bid can get beat in the Belmont, anybody can get beat. Our final guest this morning trains the two-time reigning Horse of the Year, Wise Dan, and he joins us this morning to give us an update, as Wise Dan just recently went through emergency colic surgery. We welcome back to Down the Stretch live via telephone, Mr. Charlie LoPresti. Charlie, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to the show.
Well, thank you guys for having us, and thank you for thinking about Wise Dan.
Well, Charlie, a lot of people are thinking about him, so tell us, how is he doing following emergency surgery?
Well, I tell you, as of this morning, I don't think he could be better. You would never know that he went through the ordeal and surgery that he went through. We just had him out grazing him again this morning. I feel like you just don't even know he went through anything. He's such an amazing horse. He's such a great athlete, and he's so strong. Barring any setbacks with colic, and I hope there's not going to be another one, we should be in pretty good shape, really.
That is absolutely sensational. Charlie, when did you first notice something was amiss?
Well, it was Friday morning, a week ago Friday. He had a great gallop. I mean, he galloped really strong and well within himself, and I came back to the barn and everything was good, normal routine, and I went to the track with my third set of horses, and they called me and said he just wasn't, he'd already cooled out, but he wasn't acting right. He was acting like he was uncomfortable, and he was pawing at the ground and looking around, and so anyway, we got the vet to look at him, and he said he didn't have much gut sounds, and we gave him some Banamine, and hopefully it would help him, but he didn't get any better. So we took him right to Root and Riddle, which was about a 15-minute drive away. And when they got there, they noted the same thing, and they ultrasounded him and noticed he had some inflammation in his small intestine, and they were concerned about it. So they treated him, and wound up, it was what they call a nephrosplenic entrapment, where the small intestine was lodged between the spleen, and they gave him a drug to try to help to reduce his spleen, and they jogged him around for about 10 or 15 minutes, and we thought he was better, and they put him back in his stall, and he started to act like it hurt him again, so they ultrasounded it, and the inflammation was getting bigger, so they had no choice but to do colic surgery. But remarkably, sometime when they laid him down to put him on the table and prep him and do the surgery, when they opened him up, it must have righted itself on its own, which was what they were looking for. So as far as colic surgery goes, it was the best case scenario. I mean, he pretty much fixed it on his own with no damage to his small intestine, no complications, and basically they opened him up and closed him back up.
So not only is he a classy racehorse on the racetrack, he was all class through this procedure as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've been around horses all my life, and I've known people that have told me the same thing. I've not, and I hate to jinx myself, but I've not seen a horse go through what he's gone through and bounce back. 6 days later, he got off the van to my farm, and he jumped off the van and was striking up at the air like he said, well, where we're going to the races. I mean, he only lost, it's amazing, we weighed him when he got in there, and he lost between 5 and 10 pounds through the whole thing. That's totally amazing to me.
Charlie, are the doctors telling you that he's out of the woods at this point?
You know, you never know with colic. I mean, he could ever have, if he has another reoccurrence of this, I don't want to say that, but they feel very good. I mean, barring any complications with the incision, that's what we're waiting on to heal. He'll be under tack in 3 more weeks.
Charlie, what are the chances that he's going to be able to come back and race at the level that we're used to seeing Wise Dan at, the very top of the heap?
Well, all I can go by is the literature and the statistics and what the vets have told me. 85% of horses that have colic surgery, especially like his, I mean horses that are even more complicated, but one like his, 85% of those horses will come back to the same level. And there's been some studies done on show horses and race horses, and so I think he's going to be fine, really, as long as he don't have any setbacks. And what I see right now, I mean, if you didn't know it, you would put him in training and go right on with him. He hasn't lost much condition. I mean, he looks fantastic.
Is it realistic, and I know it's got to be difficult for you at this point to determine some kind of schedule, but is it realistic that you'll be coming back to Saratoga with him this summer?
Oh, yeah, he'll come. That's what we're planning on doing. He's coming to Saratoga. I mean, our plan was to come to Saratoga and maybe look at, obviously the 4-Star Dave was in our sights, but we thought we maybe we looked at maybe trying him in the Whitney. We just talked about that. But, you know, I think that it shouldn't be any problem, really. If we if we get him back on the tack in 3 more weeks, that'll put us around sometime the 3rd week in June, I think, or the 2nd week in June. Jog him a couple of weeks and bring him to Saratoga in July. He'd have the whole month of July to train. And even if we didn't make the 4-star, Dave, there's always the Bernard Baruch. And with our track closing here at Keeneland, we only have the 5/8 of a mile track right now anyway. So that would be the most logical place for me to bring him and train him and prepare him for his, midsummer or late summer to fall campaign.
Charlie, you touched upon this very briefly, but at the end of last year, you and Mr. Fink discussed, I think it's fair to say, the distinct possibility that Wise Dan would try dirt in a prestigious stakes sometime this year. Given his 2 races this year and given what happened to him health-wise, what are the plans for that at this point?
I think that we would have to not plan for that. I'll be very honest with you. Coming out of the Woodford Reserve and with the decision that was made at Keeneland to shut the track down for the summer, I was actually planning on breezing him that Monday and then bringing him over to Churchill. And I got a barn at Churchill, and I was planning on galloping him for a couple of weeks over there at Churchill, giving him a breeze. And if he breezed well, I was really considering putting him in the Stephen Foster, only because of our training schedule and being at, we would have been at Churchill with him. So I was thinking seriously about if he did well, running him in the Stephen Foster and then come to Saratoga. That would be my grade 1. I would win on the dirt, and then I would go back to the grass and finish the year out on grass. But when all this happened, it just, it threw a monkey wrench in it. And so now we'll just have to hope we get him back, and I think we will, and try to stick to the same plan. Maybe the Woodbine race and the Shadwell, or who knows, maybe we'd run him at Saratoga and skip the Woodbine race. Maybe we won't make it at all. We just have to let him tell us.
Charlie, we don't have time to go back and look at the Woodford Reserve on Derby Day, but he had to work hard to win that race. And I'm not demeaning those horses. They're nice horses, but you have a great horse. At 7 years of age, has he lost a step from what you've seen so far this year?
Absolutely not, I can tell you. Absolutely not. That horse of Judmont's that was second to him, I think that's a pretty nice horse. And you'll see, I think he's going to run in New York here in I guess, Belmont weekend. I think that's his next race. I'm not sure about that. But he came over and he won the Hollywood Derby in his first start in this country. I think he's a pretty nice horse, and I don't think I think that was a deeper field than what we ran in last year in the Woodford. I think it's a much deeper field than we ran in last year. So I don't think he's lost a step, and I can tell you how he came through this surgery and everything. I don't think he's lost a step at all. What this is going to take out of him and what it will do down the road, I can only go by what the veterinarians tell me and what I see, and I see that he's good, and the veterinarians tell me that it shouldn't affect his training at all or his ability at all or the level that he was at.
Well, Charlie, we are absolutely thrilled with the progress he's making. All the best, and as always, thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch.
Well, thank you very much. I hope it works out and everybody gets to see the same Wise Dan again.
And we'll look forward to seeing you at Saratoga, Charlie.
We'll be there.
Okay, Charlie LoPresti, ladies and gentlemen. Time to wrap it up. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air here at the studios of the Clubhouse Racebook. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, Mick Richards, back in the control room in Schenectady. Pat Peretta directed, Dan Hayes. Thanks to our guests, Charlie LoPresti, Art Sherman, and Jimmy Jerkens. And thanks to our sponsor, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. As always, thank you so much for having joined us. Enjoy a wonderful Memorial Day holiday weekend. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.